Greetings, YouTube. I've been studying Eastern philosophy and religions for about 25 years now. I started out with Taoism, and in particular, I found the works of Zhuangzi, a Taoist master, to be really insightful. One of the things he said that I loved the most was that do not look for me in the temples and the prayer houses. You will find me in the brothels and the wine shops. And by that he meant that a faith that was not part and parcel of everyday life was of no use to him or the world at large. It also seems to point out that he was a fun guy to spend time with. Um, but a philosophy that is what I like to refer to as a hothouse worldview is useless. If it only functions in a cave in the wilderness or a monastery or a nunnery, it isn't really going to help the world. And a philosophy or a faith that isn't going to help the world, while useful to the people who are members of it, is less useful to us as a species. After Taoism, I studied Zen Buddhism, in particular, as it is practiced in Japan. I was attracted through both the art of the sword making, some of the work that is done in the tea ceremonies, ceramics, and of course the Bushido, the art of war practiced by the samurai. Interestingly enough, Bushido does not refer to swordsmanship. It refers to the bow and horse. The true art of the samurai was the ability to ride and to shoot. The use of the sword became important later, but that was what the original art form was founded on. I always thought that was kind of interesting. But neither Taoism nor Zen Buddhism, at least from the point of view of the Japanese, really connected with me. It didn't resonate with me, and it didn't help me to understand compassion. And that's what I desperately needed, because when I was younger, I had no idea what compassion was. I had never experienced it. I was raised in a very dysfunctional home. I did not have how to feel it towards myself, and I didn't know how to feel it towards others. But eventually I came upon a Vietnamese Buddhist monk who wrote the book Anger, Cooling the Fires Within. And his name I cannot remember, and I will probably mispronounce it anyway, because it is Vietnamese. I've had it pronounced for me properly, and I still can't say it right. And that helped me a great deal to understand about compassion. So recently, I stumbled upon this book, Essential Buddhism, A Complete Guide to Beliefs and Practices by Jack Maguire. So I thought it would be a good book to get me an overview, because I didn't really have a lot of background information in Buddhism itself. I looked at a lot of some of the more advanced things that had developed from the original Buddhist work of Buddha, and not the history of it. And this book is an excellent resource. It's not overly large. It's not a huge book. But it's very interesting. It gives a nice, solid background in Buddha's, a little biography on Buddha, how Buddhism spread out through India, into China, and eventually Japan, how it moved into Tibet and became a very focused form of Buddhism there. And there are three different vehicles or different schools of thought in Buddhism and how they differ from each other, and how it's been disseminated into the Western world, both in Europe and in America. For me, Buddhism has always been very much a philosophy. Now, the author of this book says that those who view it as philosophy will benefit from it, but will never benefit from it as much as those who see it as a religion. Now, to me, that's always a bit of a paradox. Buddha was a real person, a flesh and blood human being who just got something in his head and did it right, and showed the rest of us that we can do it too. But he was a person. He didn't want to be worshipped as a deity. And I think worshiping him as a deity, which is what's going to happen to some people's a view of this faith, is almost an act of hypocrisy. Because Buddha was all about losing attachment to this world. And I can't think of any more bigger attachments than worshiping a man who was of this world. I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my butt. I don't know. But for me, It works as a philosophy. I think it meshes well with many other faiths. There are faiths it won't work with: the Roman Catholic, evangelical Christianity, Satanism. I can't imagine any of them adopting Buddhist ways of seeing the world. Though I quite frankly, Satanic Buddhists would make a great band name. But just as a philosophy, just as a way of understanding compassion, a way of relating to people around you, of understanding that you need to heal yourself so that you can then spread compassion to the world around you, is incredibly important. And even if you're not worshiping it as a faith, I think it can help you in everyday life. It's helped me. I'm still working on this. I will be working on my understanding of compassion for the rest of my life. But I'm on the path. I'm moving in the direction I need to move in, which is good. And this book helped me understand what parts of this, why I'm attracted to it, why it's giving me what I need. And it's a nice little reference in the back of different temples I can look into if I ever want to. I know there's one in here in Manchester where I live, and different references for reading, so I can further my understanding of. And I'm probably going to be looking into more of that Vietnamese monk I mentioned. He wrote a number of other books that I think might be of use to me. But definitely, if you're interested in Buddhism, Essential Buddhism: A Complete Guide to Beliefs and Practices is definitely a book that you might want to look into.